Gas Station Business 101 Podcast, episode number 27.
Welcome to the one and only Gas Station Business 101 podcast, where you can learn all the secrets about how to start and operate a gas station business successfully and make money. This podcast is brought to you by the good folks at GSB Academy Publishing Company. And now, here is your host, Shabir Hossain.
Hello there. Once again, welcome to episode number 27 of Gas Station Business 101 Podcast. And again, I'm your host, Shabir Hossain. In this episode, I want to discuss everything about business plan, how to write a good business plan for your gas station business. This is the most vital piece of paper that you can produce if you're looking seriously to buy a business and you're looking to get financing. Remember, a business plan not only helps you get favorable financing, but it also gives you a clear outline of what and how your business needs to function and operate. So it is truly a blueprint of your business. It should also outline how you will be able to improve the business in the near future and generate more profit from it. A great business plan should have these following items, and I will touch on every one of those. First, you need to get a nice looking cover page done. See, the presentation says a lot about a business plan. Your business plan can be about 10, 15, 20 pages long, but as long as you dress it up nice, put a nice binder, take it to a office place, Office Max, Office Depot, Staples, FedEx, and let them put it together nicely in a binder. And then you write a cover letter addressed to the lending officer. There must be a person who is in charge of, say, commercial lending. If you know the name of that person, write that person's name and address the cover letter to him or her. This way, you're making a case to an individual and not to a broad audience. A typical letter of this sort can be addressed to, as I said, to a person that's in charge of commercial lending. And you want to make this letter a precise summary of what you're trying to achieve, which is, you can say, I am a person, your name, and with this company, and we're looking to obtain this business located in this city and whatnot, and we're looking to get a loan of certain X amount of dollars where we already have certain amount of cash on hand, and we're looking to obtain the rest in bank financing with a favorable interest rate, and in return we're offering our property X and Y and Z and whatnot, anything that you have that you can provide to the bank as a collateral. Because oftentimes bank requires some type of collateral to offer a loan such as this. Because as I mentioned in a previous episode in financing, that a lot of times bank looks at gas station financing as a somewhat higher risk proposition for them. Because they think, we're dealing with fuel, which is a commodity that's highly flammable. So it has some risk involved and whatnot. And for some reason, after 2008, banks are tighter. So they want to invest in more secured type of businesses. And that's why they require more collateral nowadays, which is the way that they secure their part of the loan. So if you have anything to offer, you need to write it down that I have such and such property or such and such asset that I want to offer as collateral, and the market value of such asset is this much. In about 5 lines, you can summarize the whole thing, that you're looking to buy a business which costs this much, you're looking to put a down payment of this much, and you have such and such property that you can offer as a collateral, and that would secure the bank's financing part. And then you can thank them for looking at the business plan and be done with it. Then you move on to the actual business plan. So let's go through the list first. I break it down in 9 different parts, and there are some parts that has subcategories in it. And again, you do not have to write these down. If you go to my blog and under episode 27, you will see the show notes and on the breakdowns. And as always, if you go to my blog, there is a tab called resources. There is a business plan already there for you that you can download and modify and make it on your own the way you like it. And I will also include a business plan that I found online from a university called Angelo University in Texas. It was done in conjunction with SBA, which is a Small Business Administration. So you can see that business plan as well, and that will give you a clear understanding of what we're talking about. Just remember, not every business plan is created the same way, but pretty much the focus is in the same, which is to forecast a good idea and financial goals and how you want to get there. So the banks will understand that this is why you need the money and this is how you'll pay it back. That's the ultimate goal of a business plan, that how you will make money and how you want to repay the loan to the bank if you are getting a loan from the bank. So these are the primary goals, but you can't just write it down in that way that it doesn't sound as professional, so to speak. So let's jump right in. The first thing you need to do is create a mission statement. Mission statements are essentially the objectives that you're trying to achieve by buying or acquiring that business. So it can be like this Quick Mart's mission is to provide the residents and the neighbors of certain area, wherever you're buying the store in, provide them with the best customer service, with the best product at the best possible prices. So you're essentially looking to serve the community the best possible way. That is a typical mission statement or objectives. So you want to start off with a good mission statement. More attractive, the more honest sounding mission statement you can come up with, the better off you are. Number 2, the summary, executive summary. Typically, this summary should include or start with who you are or who your team is. Meaning, if you have partners, you want to identify every one of those individuals with some basic information about them and what type of experience they have had so far. Nothing too much in detail, but you can say John Smith has been in convenience store industry or gas station business for the last 15 years and he has owned and operated such and such and he has successfully increased sales on this many stores and he has this type of educational background and whatever and whatnot. The next one, number B, under that summary, first is who you are, meaning you identify all your partners and corporate officers, shareholders. Number 2, which is B in this case, should be startup summary. And in this summary, you want to talk about the store that you're looking to buy or the business that you're looking to buy. Offer some details about that new business that you're looking to buy and the things that you mentioned in the cover letter, such as the pricing, what they're asking, how much you negotiated down, and how much down payment you're putting down, what you're looking to get financing for, and the same thing as you mentioned in collateral, that you're offering this much collateral for this much loan amount, and be done with that. Next thing you want to do is objective, which is C on that part under the summary. Objectives, pretty much objectives are same thing as you mentioned in your mission statement, but instead of a statement, you want to make some bullet points as to what you're trying to achieve by obtaining this business. For example, you can say to capture an increased share of the local commuter traffic passing through that area every day, to offer your customers superior products at a very affordable price, and to provide excellent customer service that's second to none. Things of that nature. Number 3 would be company overview. And under company overview, we will talk about 6 items. And in this company overview, it all talks about your company and not the one you're trying to establish. So in this case, you will talk about the company that you already formed and are operating and will be taking this business over. So basically, you will say whatever your company has done so far, you will start off by saying the name of the company and location of your company. If you have multiple stores under that company, you need to mention that, all the locations, and then once again, you will mention all the owners of this company. If it's an LLC, if it's an S corporation or C corporation or any other type of company, even if it's a one-man show, which is sole proprietorship, you need to mention the name of the owner. Even if it is just you, mention that name and mention that you have 100% ownership or 20% or 30%, whichever it is. So you want to break down all the ownership details, including the legal structure, as I said, SC, LLC, and whatnot. Then you want to mention the expertise and experience and the history of the company. Means when this company was established and who has run this company and what type of experience they have, which you have mentioned before. So you do not want to mention same thing over in the same fashion. You just want to make sure that whoever is running the company is experienced, and in 1 or 2 sentences, you want to summarize that, because this comes under the company overview. So if somebody is looking at the business plan, they do not want to flip back to the first page and see, okay, he mentioned this before, so I need to go back there. No, don't refer them to the first page. Just mention in a different sentence the same thing, that this company is owned and operated by such and such, has this many years of experience and whatnot. Then briefly touch on management team. Who's managing the corporation? And if there are multiple partners, who has what type of job duties and responsibilities? Let's say one person in your company handles the finance part, one handles the management part, and one handles the sales part. You can identify them individually. And last thing, which is number F, is products and services, meaning what does your company produce or sell? So give an overview and brief summary of what you do. This is important because let's say you have a company that sells air conditioner, and all of a sudden under that same company you are looking to buy a convenience store. These are totally 2 different industries. So the reason your bank lender wants to see this, they want to see that you have similar type of experience. You may have 20 years experience in selling air conditioner parts and whatnot, but you may not know anything about C-store or convenience stores. So this is where it is important to summarize something about your experience, the products and services that you sell, and if it is relevant to what you're trying to do with that bank loan. Next, number 4 is operational plan. This is where we're getting into the final details of the plan, and this is where the lenders wants to focus and see what you're trying to do to the new business. So in this operational plan, we break it down in 4 different segments. Number 1 is location. Simply state where the location is. Number 2 is who you are competing with, so your competitors. This is where you break down in your near vicinity. Remember, gas station business is something that you're not competing with another gas station 10 miles away. It's usually 2 to 3 mile radius that is your nearest competitors. So you need to summarize whoever is within, let's say if it is a inner city location or a very densely populated city location, you can only go about a mile. But if it is one of those rural area, you can go up to 2.5 miles and gather up 2 or 3 stations that are nearby. But if it is a busy inner city location, you know that in this type of busier location, there are plenty of gas stations in every 3-4 blocks. So you cannot go 3 miles because you will end up with about 20-25 different competitors. And that would be another 20 page of documents analyzing everybody. So the best thing to do is, depending on your location, gather up about 3 or 4 of your nearest competitors and analyze what they sell versus what you sell and what makes you stand out in that crowd. So it's a competitive analysis that you're trying to build, in this case, for yourself, not for them. So basically, you need to point out the strategic strength and positioning that you have over your competitors. It could be that your location is easier to get in and out compared to the other two. Then the brand that you're carrying compared to the other ones. Then that you're nearest to a school or nearest to a busiest intersection. Whatever that case may be, you need to build a case for your own business and not for your competitors. So you need to point out some advantages that you have over your competitors. Next is your target market. Again, just as you did on the competitive analysis, you need to talk about the demographics of your target market, meaning the vicinity of your store, who lives there, what type of people are living in that area. That's your target market, who you're targeting. Whoever is your customer that's coming through that door every day are your target market. So in this case, you need to give an analysis of that target market, some demographic information. And again, I mentioned how you can find this easily from some government data. So there has to be some type of statistical proof that, hey, in the area I'm looking to buy a store, the population consists of this many female, this many male, average median age is this much, average median income is this much, predominantly blue collar, white collar mix. I'm looking to attract this type of people by offering this type of products, and that would give us a competitive edge over our competitors and such and such. So target market is a very important part of this business plan. And lastly, in this number 4 category is market needs, meaning you're trying to find a niche that has not been fulfilled yet by your competitors. And again, I cannot come up with one particular item in this case, but I'm sure if you understand what I'm trying to tell you here, most likely you'll be able to come up with an item or 2 or 3 or a category of items. To give you an example, what I have done once is I've noticed that a store that we were trying to buy is in a rural area where there were some Mexican migrant workers there. And I thought that would be a niche that my competitors weren't fulfilling. So I pointed it out that in this market, we need some ethnic grocery, drinks, and soft drinks and beer items that has not been carried by the other competitors. So in this case, I was filling a void, a need of a part of that market. And by doing so, when I started carrying that, essentially, I increased quite a bit of sales and attracted a lot of this migrant farm workers. In another case, I've helped somebody recently that noticed there was a void on non-ethanol fuel because there was a lot of boat owners that were riding in that area that owned boats. And if you know anything about boats, they don't take ethanol added fuel. They only can take the fuel without ethanol. Because their engine and their fuel system is not designed like our cars where, our fuel has 10% ethanol in it. But the boats that they have, there are some expensive boats that can only take regular unleaded fuel without ethanol. Once they noticed that, we put that in a business plan. And eventually when they got the loan, they spent some money where they had a MPD, which is a pump where they only sold regular unleaded, or was it mid-grade unleaded fuel only without ethanol. And I believe right now they're selling about 10 to 12,000 gallons of that grade of fuel, because all the boat owners from 10-mile radius started coming to their station because they started advertising that they do carry fuel without ethanol. So that was a market niche that they filled, and they became very successful at it. So those are the things that you need to find out about your market. And as I said, it's a very important thing. If you can find the right need, you can pretty much hit a jackpot, because you become famous for filling that void or that need in that market. Okay, now number 5 is marketing plan. Whole business plan's idea is essentially how you will improve your business. So number 5 is a very important part, which is marketing plan. So first thing we do is we break it down in 4 sectors, or segments rather. Number 1 is competitive position. Where do you stand among your competitors? Remember, we just talked about you did a competitive analysis of your business by mentioning all 3 or 4 of your competitors and how you have an advantage over them. So in this case, I go a little bit farther and I do a MACP grid. And I'm sure if you went to my website and went to my resources or heard my previous episodes on marketing, I talked a lot about market attractiveness and competitive positioning grid. Means there is a box, looks like a grid, and you position yourselves in one of those boxes that can show how competitive you are in that market and how attractive your position is in that market. So essentially, again, you need to mention in this case, or you can even include the grid if you want to, where it shows how strong you are in that market. Number 2 is pricing strategy. This is where you get into the nitty-gritty if you want to. If you think your business plan should be about 30-40 pages, you can include some very detail-oriented marketing or pricing plan, meaning you survey your competitors. And let's say you noticed that they sell 2-liter Coke for $1.19. When you know you can go to $9 and gain that competitive advantage over them by signing an agreement with Coca-Cola, local bottling company, and gain some market share for the short term. Because as we all know, if we lower some prices, pretty soon our competitors will find out and they will match us. Then we will not have that advantage again. But if you do it in a systematic, periodic way, meaning you do it 2 weeks out of the month and then you take it off, you come back and do another promotion, then that's fine. But similarly, fuel pricing, you can, based on your brand, you can be pricing your fuel at a very competitive way where you can attract more customers. And remember, as I said, if you can find a niche, like I just gave an example of non-ethanol fuel, you can gain even more advantages. But in this case, you don't have to be price conscious, or you don't have to sell it for a really cheap price because nobody else is selling it. Doesn't mean you need to price gouge, but you can make a decent profit and still serve your market the right way. So pricing strategy is one of the most important strategy to bring people in through the door. In my business plan, I broke it down where I say, generally in C-stores, we do this many percentage on cigarettes on department wise, and beer, we do such and such percentage, tobacco at such and such percentage, and so on and so forth. And then I go into my competitors and look at their profit margin, and I can state that and say, listen, I can still sell it at this price and still be competitive and gain some market share. So that is important to point out where you stand in pricing compared to your competitors. Number 3 would be promotional strategies. What promotional strategies will you be implementing to improve the business? Bank always wants to know, even though your business that you're buying may be doing very well and making money, but how you can improve it even more. That's what they want to do. And also, as a business owner, you don't want to buy a business and leave it as it is. You still want to improve. So remember, I just spoke about pricing strategy where you can improve and increase your business by implementing some pricing promotion, meaning bringing people in through the door by lowering or better pricing. But there are other ways to bring people in, as you recall from my other marketing episodes that we talked about how to bring people through the door with different types of promotion. In this case, you can even mention those promotional strategies like fill up 8 gallons of gasoline or more and get a free bag of popcorn, or buy 3 packs of cigarettes, get a lighter for free, or buy any size fountain drinks for 99 cents. Now, this promotion, the fountain drink promotion, is a promotion that you're including a pricing promotion with a regular promotion, meaning you're combining 2 different strategy into one. Then you can say, buy any coffee for 79 cents, buy 2-liter Coke for 99 cents. These are all combination promotional items, meaning you're combining your pricing along with your promotion. Last on that category, which is marketing plan, is your sales forecast. In this case, first, what you need to do is you need to summarize what this business is doing right now, and then you can forecast what you will be doing once you take it over. And if the business remains the same, then you will show that. I usually do a 3-year forecast. And I usually typically show a little bit of increase the first year compared to what they have done the previous year. Then second year, a little bit more promotion, a little bit more increase on the sales. And the third year is even more increase. So it shows an upward curve or a graph showing that your business is increasing slowly but steadily. And this is how a business should be. If you're doing the things right, managing the business properly, keeping an eye on the money, it should increase steadily, not in a very upward fashion, but a slow but steady growth. Now, next we would want to talk about number 6. You want to mention your labor plan, meaning you already mentioned who's in your management team, but then this time you want to talk about who is in your team that operates this store, meaning you may have a manager or a partner that's managing the business. Then if there is any assistant manager or shift manager, and how many employees will you be needing? And you don't have to name everybody, but you can say employee number 1, 2, 3. How many people are working in this business? And show a budget of hours. How many hours is this store open? How many people are covering that hours? And what their pay is. So labor plan essentially includes how many people are working in this place, how much money are you spending to cover your shifts and your managers. So essentially you're creating a budget saying every month I will spend, let's say, $8,000 in labor. And once we increase sales and we add deli food or we increase this, our labor will increase such and such and we'll end up at 9,000 or 10,000. So you can even create a forecast for 3 years with increased sales and increased labor budget. Or you can show you haven't improved anything, but you cut down your labor budget. So let's say right now the labor budget is showing 10,000. You can show that by effectively running the company, you can lower the budget to $8,000. Whichever way it shows more profit. That's your goal right here. Now, number 7 is to create a 3-year budget, financial budget for your store. Since you already know your labor budget and you already know your sales data, it is a good idea to create a budget, meaning you write down how much labor you're paying, how much mortgage you will be paying. Now you can estimate that very clearly, knowing a range of, let's say you're buying it with land, so you will be having a business loan. If you know the range of interest rate you will be paying, you can plug that into any mortgage calculator. And so you will know how much insurance, how much mortgage, and how much whatnot you will be paying, how much utility bills this store will accumulate, and how much theft. We can always estimate about 1% theft or loss or broken items and whatnot. So figure out a budget for the store operating expenses, including management salary, including your, as I said, theft and repair expenses, because we always put a budget aside for all the maintenance and repairs. Even though you don't use it, you may use it 3 months down the road. So always safe to keep a budget for all that. And it is a good idea to put this budget in one page saying that this is my 3-year budget plan, meaning I will be spending this much money on year 1, this much money on year 2, this much money on year 3, based on, remember, if you know you will be increasing your business and you will be adding more things to your business, so your labor will go up, your yearly expense budget will go up accordingly. And this has nothing to do with your sales right now. You're just creating an expense budget here, meaning how much money will you need to operate this business. Now, once you have your 3-year budget, next thing we want to show the bank is profit and loss statement for 3 years. So the first year, which is right now, let's say whoever is running it, they gave you the sales figure, so you can create a P&L based on their figure, and then you can project your P&L based on whatever you have suggested that you will be doing to improve the business. So year 2 and year 3 can be a forecast, where year 1 is the actual one. And this way it looks more realistic, meaning the year 1 is right now, this is what it is doing right now. Let's say this business is making $40,000 a year right now, based on the actual figures. And you already have your budget. So you know when you forecast, you can implement those expenses. And the sales, you can say safely that if you implement those marketing strategies, your sales will increase anywhere from 10 to 15% at the least. So you can keep that in mind and add 10, 15, 20%. Let's say first year you added 15% increase in sales and your budget is already there. So you can say next, my second year forecast is I'll be making 60,000. And it can all be done under Microsoft Excel, be nicely attached to the business plan, where it shows where year 1 to year 2 is difference is this, and this is how I got there. Year number 3, I increased the sales by 20%, so my labor has gone up by 3% or 4%, and this is where we stand, and this is where we make 80,000 for the third year, or whatever that money is. So it is important that you base P&L on true figures. That way it looks realistic, it looks believable, and achievable at the same time. And the last part of this business plan is the end summary on conclusion. In this segment, or at the last conclusion, you want to summarize everything you have said so far. Meaning, you want to reinforce that you have this much money, you're looking to get financing for this much, and you're putting up this property or this asset as a collateral. And with this skilled and experienced management team, with this type of, just briefly mention, this type of marketing efforts and strategies and plan, you are looking to improve the business by this many percentage over year 1 to year 2, year 3, and you're looking to generate this much income. So you can pay the loan back in certain amount of years at certain amount of interest rate. So in other words, you're trying to reinforce what you have just said in last 40 pages. Remember, you said that at the first, but after somebody reads this, they may not remember what they read on the very first page. So at the conclusion, you just want to reinforce what you've just said in all these 40 pages. So it's a summary, it's a conclusion, it's a brief description of what you have said in the last 30 or 40 pages. So now let's recap one more time. I know I've talked about a lot here, but it would be a very good idea if you, when you're listening to this or after you listen to this, if you can visualize a business plan. And as I said, you can go to my site, gasstationbusiness101.com, and just go under resources to business plan and look at what I have done there. Or I'm attaching another business plan with this podcast that I said has been done by SBA and Angelo University. And even though they're not exactly the same, but they pretty much do the same thing. It means their goal is to achieve and get a business loan. So we both go about the same thing, but a little bit different ways. So your items may not match exactly, but as I said, it's the same goal. So you can look both of these business plans side by side, and you can maybe incorporate both of those into one and create your own. But when you listen to what I have just said, if you can visualize this by having a business plan in front of you, you will know exactly what I'm talking about when I said the P&L, the projected P&L, the labor budget, and the yearly budget of all the expenses, because all these were done on my business plan. You can see it with those numbers. These are usually done on Microsoft Excel, but you can do it on Microsoft Word. And I think mine was done on Microsoft Word, and it looks like a nice table. So you can create exactly the same table, plug in those numbers, and have a good looking business plan for yourself. But before we go, let's recap what we just talked about. First thing, you need to have a mission statement at the first. But remember, before the mission statement, you need to have a cover letter that explains everything what you're trying to achieve in this business. And before that cover letter, you will have to have a nice binded folder. So first is the folder, then your cover letter, then your mission statement, then your executive summary where you outline who you are, your startup summary, and your objectives. Number 3 is your company overview, where you talk about A, name and location of business, B, who are the owners, C, what is your legal structure, D, experience and history of the company, E, management team, and F, products and services that you sell in your business currently. Number 4 is your operational plan, where we break it down in 4 categories. A is your location that you're looking to buy. B is your competitors, who you're competing with in that neighborhood. Number C is your target market, who you're targeting in that market. And D is market needs. Remember, we talked about that niche, the void that you need to fill by going into that market and finding something that nobody is supplying. Okay, number 5 is marketing plan, where we break it down into 4 categories. Number A is competitive position, meaning where do you see yourself in that market? Where do you position yourself among the other competitors? B is your pricing strategy, how you can price and market yourself and stand out among that crowd. C is promotional strategies, meaning what type of promotion you can run to create a buzz among your buyers or clients in that neighborhood. And D is sales forecast. And remember, we talked about sales forecast for the actual year that you are in now. So you have some real numbers to base that, and then you can forecast where you want to go in 3 years. Number 6 is your labor plan, which includes who are in your management team and who are in your work team. And then you create the labor budget and forecast how your labor budget will look based on your plan of promoting the store or adding different things to the store, and how you see yourself spending money on labor for next 3 years. Number 7 is your 3-year store budget. Has nothing to do with your P&L. It's just the budget, just your expenses. How much money will you need to operate this store for next 3 years? Year 1, this is your labor budget. Year 2, this is your labor budget. Year 3, this is your labor budget. I take it back, not labor budget, store budget. Store budget will include your labor, your utilities, your rent, your mortgage payment, your theft, your bank charges, your accounting fees. Everything that goes under a budget, you should have some amount classified for every category of that. So the banker can see and say, okay, this store needs $150,000 or $500,000 or $300,000 to run every year. And that should be jived with whatever marketing plan you have. So if you have a plan to expand the store, to add food, beverages, deli, so your labor will increase, your budget, your store budget should reflect that increase or decrease for that matter. Okay, number 8 is profit and loss statement for 3 years, meaning you need to show what it is doing now as a P&L. and what it will be doing in next 3 years or 2 years for that matter. So you will have one actual and two forecasted, one or three for that matter if you want to do 3 years. But it should be all based on real numbers. Meaning, if you gather up the numbers that it is doing now, you create a P&L, that this is the actual P&L as of right now. And then year 1 and year 2 and year 3, in the future, this is how it will look because I will be implementing this plan or that plan. I will cut down labor here. I will do this over there. And this will result in this much increase in sales. So you forecast that, but make sure it looks and sounds realistic. And number 9, in summary and conclusion, remember to summarize everything like you did at the very first page when you wrote that cover letter. But in this case, you just want to include a little bit more than 5 sentences that says whatever you just said in last 30 or 40 pages and all those graphs and charts. You just want to summarize that everything one more time for the reader to understand that this is your objective and this is what you're trying to achieve. Once again, you can find my business plan. And I'm sure you've seen it already. But if you go to my website, go under Resource tab and click the Business Plan button. Or in this episode's show note, you can click the new business plan that I'm attaching to this one. And this will give you an idea. But if you want to look at the graphs, the charts, the P&L, you should go look at my business plan that I've used many times for my own businesses. We're at that segment of the show where I recommend a book every week, which I have not done in last 2 weeks, or last 2 episodes rather. But this week I want to recommend one because I just read it and it's still fresh in my mind. And the name of the book is 0 to 1, Notes on Startups or How to Build the Future. This book is written by Peter Thiel and Blake Masters. And I believe this is one book, it's very different than what I've read before and what I've recommended before. So this is a different type of read. And I don't want to say too much because I want to keep that in a mystery. And I know you will enjoy it. And if you go to my show note, I'll have a link to the book. So you can go take a look at it, download it, read it, and enjoy it. One last thing. If you enjoy my show, I would love to see a review from you on iTunes, as those reviews means a lot to me. And by giving me those reviews, you will help me reach more people, more listeners that I can help. And that is my ultimate goal. So take care and I will see you soon.
This has been the one and only Gas Station Business 101 podcast with your host, Shabir Hossein. This podcast was brought to you by CSB Academy Publishing Company. Be sure to join us next time as we share with you the secrets about how to start and operate a gas station business successfully and make money.